All right, gather round closer, folks, and settle in for a tale that will warm your hearts. This story comes from the blood-soaked trenches of World War I, where, for a fleeting moment, the spirit of Christmas managed to thaw even the coldest and most hardened of hearts. This is the story of the Christmas Truce of 1914. It's December 1914, just a few months into what would become one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. The Western Front stretches for miles across Belgium and France, a desolate expanse of mud, barbed wire, and shattered earth. British and German soldiers face each other from opposing trenches, mere yards apart. The air is filled with the constant roar of artillery, the rattle of machine guns, and the cries of the wounded. The ground between the trenches, known as no man's land, is a killing field where few dare to tread. As Christmas approaches, a strange quiet begins to settle over the front. The weather is bitterly cold, with frost and snow covering the ground. Soldiers huddle in their trenches, trying to keep warm and reminiscing about better times with their families back home. Letters and small parcels from loved ones, filled with food and tokens of affection, provide a brief respite from the grim reality of war. On Christmas Eve, something miraculous happens. Along various sectors of the front, soldiers begin to hear the sound of singing. German troops, entrenched near Ypres in Belgium, start to sing Stille Nacht, Silent Night, a hauntingly beautiful carol that drifts across no man's land. British soldiers listen in amazement, and soon they respond with their own carols, such as The First Noel and O Come, All Ye Faithful. The night air, usually filled with the sounds of battle, is now filled with music. Encouraged by the shared sense of festivity, soldiers on both sides begin to light candles and place them on the edges of their trenches. Some even erect makeshift Christmas trees, adorned with whatever decorations they can find. The flickering lights create a surreal, peaceful glow in the midst of the war-torn landscape. Then, the unthinkable happens. Soldiers on both sides cautiously emerge from their trenches, hands raised in a gesture of peace. They meet in no man's land, a place that had been a death trap just hours before. There, amidst the barbed wire and shell craters, enemies become comrades, if only for a short while. They shake hands, exchange small gifts like chocolate, tobacco, and rations. They show each other photographs of their families, sharing stories of home and loved ones. Some even trade uniform buttons and badges as keepsakes. In one of the most famous and touching moments, soldiers produce a football, soccer ball, and a spontaneous game breaks out. Imagine that, a football match played between enemies, with no referee, no goals, just a shared love for the game. The match is said to have ended in a friendly draw, but for those who played, the score didn't matter. What mattered was the brief escape from the horrors of war. There are countless stories from that day. In one sector, a German barber offered his services to British soldiers. In another, they buried their dead together, holding joint services to honor the fallen from both sides. The sense of shared humanity was overwhelming. These men, who had been trying to kill each other just hours before, now saw each other as fellow humans, each with hopes, dreams, and families waiting for them at home. The truce wasn't universal and didn't last everywhere. In some places, fighting continued unabated, and even where the truce took place, it was short-lived. By the time night fell on Christmas Day, the soldiers were back in their trenches, the war resuming its brutal course. High command on both sides were furious about the fraternization and took steps to ensure it wouldn't happen again. Orders were issued forbidding such truces in the future, and the war ground on for nearly 4 more years, claiming millions of lives.